The show's main character is a strange young woman named Wednesday Addams. The young girl, who is only 13 years old, hardly ever displays any emotion and has an odd obsession with passing away. She is also well known for dressing in strange, gothic black and white, which everyone finds odd. Wednesday enters her high school in the opening scene with a sinister expression on her face. She discovers her brother Pugsley bound and holding an apple in her locker. Suddenly, as she pushes him away, Wednesday is shown who tortured her brother in a vision. We learn that she is not a typical child in this passage. By simply touching someone, Wednesday can see both their past and future. She enters the swimming room carrying 2 bags filled with piranhas. Once she realizes that a group of bullies from the swim team are responsible for this, she then casually lets the vicious piranhas loose in the pool. Nobody targets her brother but her. Wednesday asserts as the bullies flee for their lives in horror. The parents of Wednesday, Morticia and Gomes, are introduced to us in the following scene. The two have made the decision to enroll their daughter in the prestigious Nevermore Academy because they are tired of their daughter's antics. All of the Academy students actually possess supernatural abilities, and they are given lessons on how to control them. The fact that Morticia and Gomes are graduates of the same academy suggests that they too possess superpowers. In the meantime, a hiker near the Nevermore Academy sets out on a solitary excursion through the woods. Unfortunately, a mysterious creature attacked him shortly after and killed him. Later, the local sheriff comes across the dismembered body and starts looking around. Unexpectedly, we find out that there have been a lot of recent similar incidents. This gruesome murder is not the first of its kind. Wednesday then arrives at the academy where she is greeted by Nevermore's expertly run principal Larissa Weems. She introduces her to her roommate, a werewolf named Enid, who is completely the opposite of Wednesday in every way. Wednesday loves everything black and gothic, while Enid is a grounded girl with brightly colored decorations on her side of the room. Later, Enid gives Wednesday a thorough tour of the academy while identifying the Fangs, Furs, Stoners, and Steel school groups. Stoners are gorgons with snakes on their heads. Those with fangs are vampires. Those with fur are werewolves. And those with scales are sirens with the power to seduce. Enid also introduces her to Bianca Barclay, the popular girl in school and a stunning siren, as well as to her ex-boyfriend Xavier Thorpe, a death artist who can make his drawings come to life. Gomes releases Thing, a severed, living hand, as the Addams family drives off in their car. Thing is in charge of watching over their daughter. She enrolls in fencing class the following day on Wednesday and is paired against the talented Bianca. The girls decide to take off their masks and fight until one of them bleeds first after some back and forth results in an equal number of points for each. Soon enough, a vicious fight breaks out between them as they match strides for strides. But when Bianca makes a tiny cut on Wednesday's cheek, she ultimately succeeds in her mission. Wednesday is later nearly killed by a falling stone gargoyle as she leaves the hospital after receiving treatment. She is fortunately pushed aside by the death artist, Xavier, who arrives just in time. Wednesday goes back to her room shortly after, but she feels like someone is keeping an eye on her. She consequently looks around the space and eventually discovers the hand, Thing. When Wednesday realizes her parents are to blame, she threatens to lock the hand in a drawer unless he stays loyal to her. Thing declares his loyalty while being terrified. She is required to attend therapy because of the piranha joke on Wednesday. In order to get her to her therapy appointment in Jericho, a small town outside of Nevermore, Principal Larissa drives her there. She sees her therapist but doesn't discuss anything in detail. Wednesday, however, has something else in mind. She excuses herself and leaves through the window after using the restroom. When she exits, she unintentionally bumps into a man. She suddenly has a vision in which she sees the man being killed. Wednesday enters a nearby coffee shop in fear. She runs into Tyler, the barista-turned-son of the sheriff there. The espresso machine Tyler uses is having some mechanical issues. Thankfully, Wednesday can read Italian despite the strange Italian language of the directions. She fixes the device with ease, and then requests a ride to the closest bus stop in exchange. Before Tyler can respond, however, 3 bullies in pilgrim costumes barge into the store and startle her. When Wednesday can no longer take it, she fights back and easily knocks them down. Wednesday tries to ignore them. Principal Larissa and the sheriff eventually make their way to the store where they witness the carnage. She yells at Wednesday and drives her out of town after becoming enraged. They pass a terrible car wreck on their way to the academy. The victim is the same man who earlier in the vision she had of Wednesday. Later that evening, she performs a melancholy cello song on the balcony of the dorm. There are several werewolves howling in the distance on this full moon night. Enid, a werewolf herself, reveals that she will not be joining them because she is unable to transform. Thing stops by Tyler's room in the meantime and requests a call for Wednesday. Despite being terrified, he agrees, and the two begin video chatting. Wednesday requests that Tyler meet her the following day at the Harvest Festival, saying that it will be enjoyable. She really just wants to get out of the academy, though. We see Larissa keeping a close eye on Wednesday while at the fair. Despite this, the teenage goth somehow catches up to Tyler. The two are on the verge of leaving when Wednesday accidentally runs into Rowan, one of her classmates. Since Wednesday touched him, she has had a vision in which Rowan has been viciously mauled to death by someone. He flees into the woods right away. She changes her mind and pursues him to break the news after becoming terrified. Rowan secures her high up on a tree using telekinesis before she has a chance to speak. Then he says that 25 years ago, his mother, a strong seer, saw Wednesday destroying the Nevermore Academy. Rowan thinks that in order to prevent anything bad from happening, he must kill her. He then begins telekinetically strangling her. But all of a sudden, a huge monster bursts in, rips Rowan to pieces, and disappears into thin air. Wednesday looks at the drawing of his mother that she allegedly created while standing over his dismembered body. The sheriff and other police officers start looking for Rowan's body shortly after, but are unsuccessful. As was to be expected, the sheriff doubts Wednesday's claim that a monster attacked Rowan and believes it was actually a Nevermore student. When an officer interrupts their discussion, we unexpectedly see Rowan, who is still very much alive. When Wednesday gets to her room, she observes that Enid is too absorbed in the Po Cup competition, a yearly boat riding contest. Later, when she tries to speak with Rowan, Principal Larissa tells her that he has been expelled for a reason that she is unable to disclose. As a result, Wednesday switches to Plan B and requests that Thing watch out for Rowan. The action then shifts to Rowan arriving at the train station with Thing hot on his heels. He sneaks into the bathroom after taking in his surroundings and assumes an elderly person's appearance. Sadly, Thing gets distracted and misses this transformation. Later, he takes on the identity of Principal Larissa. This reveals that she is actually a shapeshifter who is trying to cover up Rowan's murder for some reason. Without any other options, Wednesday searches the woods for signs of Rowan's murder. She is with Tyler, who is pursuing his father. She eventually locates Rowan's glasses, and as she picks them up, she is struck by a vision. She sees a purple book in the vision where Rowan got the drawing. Without delay, Wednesday confronts when she inquires about the book with her class teacher. The latter reveals that it belonged to the Nightshades, a former student organization. But the society has long since been abolished. Wednesday sneaks into Rowan's room after school to look for the book. Under his bed, she discovers a mask, but she must leave because Xavier has just arrived. He ends up being Rowan's roommate. As soon as Bianca arrives to see her ex, Wednesday quickly hides under the bed. She hears them talking and finds out that Bianca intends to humiliate Enid in the upcoming boat riding competition. So as soon as she gets back to her room, Wednesday makes the decision to support Enid by entering the contest so that they can defeat Bianca. Wednesday, the following day, Enid prepares for the contest. Since there are no regulations, everything is fair game, and Bianca is taking advantage of this. There are 4 teams, and the object of the game is for them to row their boats to a location and back before the clock runs out. The winner is the first person to cross the finish line unharmed and without passing out in the lake. Bianca makes a hint about one of her friends who is prepared to sabotage the other boats as the competition gets underway. The friend, who later reveals herself to be a mermaid, jumps into the lake and sinks one of the boats, which eliminates the team. Fortunately, Wednesday and Enid are ready, and with Thing's assistance, they are able to capture the mermaid. Wednesday, however, sees something else while the competition is going on. This time, she encounters a blonde-haired version of herself who informs her that she holds the key. When Wednesday finally realizes what is going on, she discovers that Bianca's team is in the lead. She and Enid choose to play dirty because they are unwilling to give up. They use Bianca's cunning strategies against her to ultimately triumph in the contest. This marks the first time in 40 years that a non-siren team has triumphed in the prestigious competition. Later, Principal Larissa presents the Poe Cup trophy to Enid in honor of the winning team. But Wednesday can't handle the attention, so she turns to Edgar Allan Poe, a former pupil of the Nevermore Academy, for comfort. Under the stone book he's holding, she suddenly notices a symbol. The picture Rowan gave her before he was killed by a mall bears the same symbol that was carved into it. Wednesday finds a clue, snapping twice, after quickly deciphering a series of puzzles etched in the book. She suddenly snaps twice, revealing a hidden chamber and a hidden corridor. There, Wednesday is able to locate Rowan's book where he tore the image. She places the book in her backpack, but someone quickly places a black bag over her head. After a short while, when the sack is removed, Bianca, Xavier, and a few other students who are Nightshade's club members are all gathered around her. It turns out that Principal Larissa secretly reactivated the group after it had previously been disbanded. Wednesday is persuaded to join their group by Xavier, but she immediately declines and leaves. The annual outreach day, during which the Nevermore students will have to interact with normies by working alongside them at their businesses, is announced by Principal Larissa in the following scene. Wednesday informs Xavier that his roommate might have been murdered once they get to town. Due to the fact that Rowan was only expelled, the latter does not believe he is dead. Wednesday still presents him with the drawing that Rowan's mother made despite this. Upon closer inspection, Xavier determines that the man in the image is actually Joseph Crackstone, the man who founded Jericho. Later, Wednesday makes the decision to work as a volunteer in Pilgrim World. The location where Jericho's past is preserved. She runs into Eugene, a young boy she had gotten to know through the beekeeping club. The two start conversing right away and take in their surroundings. The Pilgrim World's caretaker, Miss Arlene, soon approaches the students. She gives them a tour and talks about some of Joseph Crackstone's beloved artifacts. When Wednesday inquires further about the artifacts, he discovers that they include the family chamber pot in addition to original farm tools and dinnerware. She would like to work there, but she is unable to due to renovations. Instead, they will all be employed by the old fudgery to serve cakes and fudge to visiting tourists. Wednesday afternoon sneaks into the Crackstone family chamber with Eugene's help. The girl from her vision appears in a painting of the old meeting house that she discovers. She soon discovers the book the girl was carrying as well. But Wednesday is suspicious that it's a fake. When she sees that the pages are blank, Arlene the nanny shows up at that precise moment and catches her. When Wednesday inquires about the original book, Arlene reluctantly states that it was stolen a month ago. At the coffee shop, Tyler and Wednesday meet up again later. Tyler responds to the second person's question about Joseph Crackstone by saying that what is left of the original meeting house is hidden away in the woods. Meth heads stay there because it is essentially a ruin and a crash pad. Wednesday and Thing immediately venture into the woods in search of Joseph Crackstone's residence. They eventually locate it, but Thing chokes the homeless man and scares him away. Wednesday has an unexpected vision. This time, she goes back in time 400 years. We recognize the blonde girl she spoke with in the previous vision. The girl is surrounded by the villagers, who refer to her as the devil's spawn. Joseph Crackstone soon emerges from the throng and refers to her as BuIIed Addams. She is accused of being a witch, and he sentences her to death in a barn full of other alleged witches, including her mother. In response, BuIIed accuses them of robbing them of their peaceful spirit, stealing their land, and killing the defenseless. After giving her a long, angry look, Joseph ignites the barn. BuIIed makes numerous attempts to set her mother free, but in vain. Finally, when there is no other option, she escapes through a trap door. Wednesday joins them in the barn as they watch this all go on. Soon after, BuIIed approaches her and warns her that Joseph won't end his crusade until all of them have been killed. With this realization, Wednesday emerges from her protracted vision and tells Thing everything that has happened. They suddenly realize that the monster that killed Rowan is following them. In the rain, Wednesday tries to catch up, but is unable to. She therefore proceeds to follow the footprints, which strangely begin to change into human footprints. This demonstrates that the monster is really a person. She immediately approaches Xavier and informs him of what she saw. The tracks have already been washed away by the rain when he wants to examine them. Everyone gathers once more the following day in the town square to celebrate the unveiling of a new statue honoring Joseph Crackstone. While the mayor and Larissa announce the statue, Wednesday performs an instrumental rendition of Fleetwood Mac's "Don't Stop" with the Jericho marching band. But when Thing ignites the statue with Wednesday's instructions, disaster strikes. Wednesday's eyes gleam with vengeance as she plays the cello quickly while others flee in terror. Later, upset that she might be to blame for the incident, Principal Larissa sobs into Wednesday. The teen, however, denies having taken any action and instead confronts Larissa for refusing to admit the gruesome racial truths that formed the basis of Jericho. That evening, the monster attacks the homeless man from earlier, and his camera starts recording the incident. The homeless man is discovered dead when the sheriff and his team reach the forest ruin shortly after their arrival. They find video on his camera that might identify the offender. The sheriff views the killer's face, a monster out of nightmares, after developing the photos.